Yeah, it's rewind time.
2010's YouTube was actually an insane time on the internet. From the growth and cultivation of clout culture, to the bright rose-colored lifestyle YouTubers, and even the less than savory characters that came up during this time, there's literally no doubting that the 2010s were a time of development and growth for the platform. Like, YouTube literally went from a more obscure, unknown video sharing platform to one of the largest social media sites of all time. Hey everybody, my name is Justin Jordan, and join me on this chronically online journey through some of the prominent characters on YouTube during the 2010s. And if you enjoy this type of content, please comment and let me know, and also like and subscribe to see more. Without any further ado, let's just dive right in because we have a lot of people to talk about today. So this first section is going to cover YouTubers who are generally viewed in more of a positive light looking back at their careers. So first we're going to talk about Lilly Singh. So Lilly Singh, aka II_Superwoman, was born in Toronto in 1988 to two Indian parents. Singh would ultimately begin her career online in 2010, and this was during the really early stages of content creation on YouTube as a whole. But she got her bachelor's degree and she decided to start making content online. And she would actually really find major success online fairly quickly, being known for her relatable skits in a format that really dominated YouTube at the time. When you look back at this time, there are a lot of creators who also were kind of in the lane. So I'm talking about creators like Liza Koshy, that type of beat. Vine creators or creators that made content similar to Vines, or that sort of comedy skit type of era when creators would basically just share short comedy skits or short videos about themselves. But one thing that I really found interesting and I really personally liked about Lilly Singh was how she would actually use some of these skits to talk about serious world issues and actually directly addressing things like making fun of racists. For example, her video called A Geography Class for Racist People, or The Rules of Racism. And I honestly feel like I found this so important and so interesting because during the time when these skits were posted, I just want to set a stage here, okay? Right now, we're dealing with this era of kind of rising internet conservatism, rising pushback to anything that is seen as too woke or anything that is seen as too socially aware, if we're being really honest about what that is about. But imagine like the early 2010s, like even like mid 2010s, we're seeing anti-SJW content going absolutely viral. We're seeing a wave of commentary YouTubers who literally make their whole gig finding random neurodivergent people online and bullying them. So yeah, I think that was something that was very brave and very different from what we were seeing from a lot of other even skit creators who sometimes would still use skits to be racist at the time. I'm looking at you, Shane Dawson. Even though that Lilly Singh had like a lot of people who liked her and had a lot of people who kind of rode for her because she was very vocal about what she believed and very vocal about even sharing her own experiences as a bisexual woman of color. Let's just say there's some detractors to Lilly Singh and people who argue that this whole thing was a grift and may argue that this whole thing was not necessarily Lilly Singh having the best interest at heart and maybe trying to use these issues as a way to gain more attention and more clout. So let's just hear from some of these detractors. One writer named Mackenzie Mack wrote in an essay titled, quote, "You can be brown and anti-black on Lilly Singh and modern day blackface." In this essay, Mack really goes deep into criticizing Singh, basically really coming for Singh mostly for what she deems like as the commodification of black culture and just how easy it is for Lilly to benefit from black culture while not necessarily experiencing this specific, like for the lack of a better word here, and this is going to sound ridiculous, like specific flavor of racism, if that makes sense. So here's just a direct quote from that essay, which I found interesting. Singh has made videos where she's wearing backwards caps with bandanas, oversized shirts, cornrows, chains, and braids, because hashtag that's what black people be doing. In the music video for Lilly Singh and Humble the Poet, Lilly raps while dancing innovatively on a basketball court. In yet another video, she throws dollars at a camera while seated on a throne and dabs while reciting lyrics that rhyme with the archaic terms like homie and haters. What the hell, beloved? Now, you're gonna hear me run defense for Lilly Singh a little bit here because, in my personal opinion, as someone who is not necessarily a creature of the internet at the time, let's be honest here, my brain was not fully developed then. It's still technically not fully developed now, but that's a whole nother, problem. As someone who was definitely a child at the time and definitely was engaging with a lot of content online, I will say that this is not a Lilly Singh problem. This is something that a lot of people did at the time. You know, dabbing became this whole internet trend. There was this whole trend cycle, and this is something that still happens. And I really saw a great video by a creator named Lonnie's Lens, who talked about culture vultures and kind of, you know, the commodification of Black culture and how it's really just repackaged and sold as something else that's not Black culture when it in reality is stolen from Black culture. And there was a lot of instances of this type of thing happening at the time. We had things like dabbing, we had things like bruh. All this AAVE was taken and kind of just repackaged as like something that Black people didn't make, and it would go ultra viral, and the people who originally created these terms or the people who originally started these trends, who were often Black or people of color, were not given the amount of attention that, let's just say, some other meme figures would get in the future, and would not, you know, experience that same level of open doors. Even though I do think that this is not something that's unique to Lilly Singh, I do have to emphasize that I do think that this is a valid criticism. I do think that this is something that should be talked about, that I'm glad that this person brought that up, because I just wanted to honestly show that there is legitimate criticism out there of Lilly Singh, and that the overall internet opinion of her is not just like, oh my gosh, she spoke out against racism in like 2 or 3 videos, she's a queen. Even though I will say I do personally, I do hold her in a higher regard for making those videos, even though some people might say, oh my gosh, that was such an easy video. But while we're on the topic of controversies for Lilly Singh, we have to talk about what would ultimately be a major one, which was a little late with Lilly Singh. So just a little history lesson here. After the cancellation of late night show Last Call with Carson Daly in 2019, NBC executives just for some reason thought, what do the kids like? They like YouTubers. So why don't we give a late night show to a YouTube creator? So the show would get a lot of hate online, but Late Night with Lilly Singh was born. Lilly Singh would, you know, host the show. And the controversy would be so intense that it would literally be the inspiration for countless video essays and think pieces. And I do have my own opinions. I literally tried so hard to find like a full episode. I literally have access to a Peacock account, which, you know, NBC, I didn't see it on there. Maybe I didn't search it enough. Maybe it's not on there because the show was canceled in 2 seasons. I did see some clips of it online, and from what I saw, like, yes, I don't think seeing John Cena and Lilly Singh flossing on late night TV is like Emmy-winning television. Like, this is not groundbreaking cinema, but I also don't think that it's the worst thing in the world, especially compared to like what is acceptable in other late night shows that exist. For example, it was well known that James Corden was an absolutely horrible person. Like, there was literally so many people basically saying James Corden is evil, James Corden is evil. Mind you, this man got like multiple seasons of the show and more recently is facing controversy. Yes, there was a lot of things wrong with the show. Yes, Lilly Singh, in my opinion, was not prepared to create her own show, but I mean, what is she gonna say? No? Like, imagine a TV executive coming into your inbox and saying, hey, do you want to do this television show? Are you gonna sit there and say no? But honestly, the main 2 reasons that I think this got so much backlash is because reason 1, I think there is a real hatred for creators transforming into different things or switching into different things. Like, there is a hunger for failure for some YouTubers and some influencers. Like, now I think it's lessened, but when people who are online figures try to transition into more traditional roles or traditional positions, people just generally, in my opinion, don't want to see that or have this aversion to that. Does anybody remember the uproar at TikTokers going to award shows? Which, listen, I'm not saying I'm exempt from all this, because I absolutely was like, why are they there then? Like, why are you trying to make TikToks with people on the red carpet? The celebrities were side-eyeing them. But the second reason for why I think her show ended up failing is less general to all internet figures, but I did see a lot of people and a lot of negative reviews that really focused on Lilly Singh's own discussion of her identity being brown and bisexual, and people were like, oh my god, she brought that up so much, oh my god, she brought that up so much. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I literally only saw like the one first monologue, and yes, maybe she would make a few jokes about that, so I don't really think that this is something that's so insane, if that makes sense. But also, I get like the disdain, but I don't like that most of the criticism levied at it is not coming from a place of genuine critique. a lot of it is coming from a place of, oh my God, this is a woke show. Oh my God, they put this brown woman on TV and she's talking about how she's bisexual. How dare you? I'm sorry. What were you going to sit here and watch? The late night show with Ben Carson? Oh, it was Carson Daly. Listen, no offense to Carson Daly, but guys, please don't sit here and act like you're watching other late night TV shows that are groundbreaking and amazing and so great. Well, regardless of the show's cancellation, she honestly seems to be living her best life, doing covers on Elle magazine, literally buying a chunk of the Toronto Raptors, and just generally living that obscenely wealthy, envious YouTuber life that everybody wants. So she's doing fine. So next we're talking about MyLifeAsEva. MyLifeAsEva was born Ava Gutowski on July 29th in 1994. And she would really come up in the DIY/lifestyle space of the mid-2010s, originally posting things like makeup hauls and other tutorials in her room at first, but she would go on to really increase her production value following a number of videos that would start to go viral. And we just have to talk about the Literally My Life video because I truly cannot fathom a better time capsule of the 2010s dream. Like, skinny white boy on your side, dancing in the moonlight, dancing on the beaches of California, very light, obvious filter over everything. Like, I'm so sorry. This is just peak.
Literally, my life is beaches every single night, messy buns and Christmas lights. Literally, my life.
And then she also had another banger, which was the How to Survive High School series. And like, honestly, someone find this girl like a film crew. Someone get her with A24 because this was legendary cinema. This was groundbreaking. Well, regardless, Ava would continue the content grind, continue to make massively popular lifestyle content throughout the 2010s, and even getting personal and raising awareness to issues that were very, very important to her, making a video in which she details her horrific experience with SA. And I don't know, anytime someone is able to share their story, I just find it extremely admirable. Raising awareness to fans who may have similar experiences or may have to go through similar experiences in the future, sadly. And just like the sheer vulnerability that takes, I don't know, I just find that really powerful. But Ava has now seemed to enter her fashion era, appearing in magazines and now pursuing a career as a DJ and still attending red carpets and stuff. Like, she is living the influencer dream. So, unfortunately, I was able to find some controversies. One is that people claim that she was bullying her neighbors, or I don't know. I heard people mention Tyler Oliveira. Now, about the Tyler Oliveira thing, I think that was referring to a confrontation between Brent Rivera and Tyler Oliveira. And I just gotta say, Tyler Oliveira is literally like one of the most scummy kind of grifter, like, fake news type of accounts now. Now, the other thing that I found that was controversial about her was that people were saying that the age gap between her and Brent Rivera was problematic, with her being born in 1994 and Brent being born in 1998. And I did see a comment that alleged that they had met when they were young, but I was not able to confirm this. From what I saw, at least posted on her page publicly, that's very easy and accessible to find, that they were possibly friends at that time, but I don't think they were together at the time. Also, I did see some people talk about this podcast clip where she said that he was inexperienced, and people were like, of course he's inexperienced because he's literally like very much younger than you. And I think there's also a level of dislike for her. It seems like she's made the transition from 2016 lifestyle YouTuber to modern day influencer. And just the persona and the kind of overall attributes of a modern day influencer, if that makes sense, is something that a lot of people are put off by, that a lot of people don't really like. So next we're going to talk about ijustine. Ijustine is truly just a very interesting character on YouTube. She was born on March 20th, 1984 as Justine Ezerick. And I honestly, I don't know, I was gagged because it's giving like we're twins or something, like Justin and Justine, and then also literally born like days apart. I mean, of course, in different years, but I don't know. I never meet anybody who has a similar birthday to me, like at all. Like, where are my early Aries girls? Where are my late Pisces, early Aries girls? Because I haven't seen y'all. But ijustine really became well known for her content related to tech and iPhones, and also just her general lifestyle content. And one of her first viral videos was literally getting a 300-page phone bill, which is like, how does that even happen? How was there ever a time when bills reached 300 pages? And learning about this $300 bill sent me down a little bit of a rabbit hole. This was like when iPhones were first a thing, and AT&T had an exclusive contract with iPhone. So if you wanted an iPhone, you'd have to sign with AT&T, and AT&T would literally print out every single charge. So if you texted or if you called, basically anytime you use data, AT&T would list that on your statement. And that led to people getting massive bills. I can absolutely see how that happened because I'm literally just thinking about how many times I text on a daily basis, how many times I probably use service on a daily basis. Like the bill statements would literally be like 1,000 pages. That video literally brought so much attention to this whole phenomenon of these extremely long bills that it possibly even played a role in AT&T's eventual changing of this system. And listen, I get it was 2007 and they weren't used to iPhones, but like literally, how is this ever sustainable for these companies to print out bills that were that long? Like, does this not cost you some sort of money? Even if you don't care about the environment, which I don't know, I don't think a lot of large corporations really do. Wouldn't it be more expensive for you to print this stuff out? Regardless, after her first brushes with fame, ijustine would continue to make videos covering tech and her love of technology, just growing her overall presence on YouTube and doing really cool things, kind of trailblazing for tech YouTubers, like being one of the first YouTubers to be invited to one of these tech events that used to be reserved only for tech journalists or other tech insiders. And she was also even able to meet the voice of Siri at one of these events, which was just insane crossover. And while she did focus on tech a lot in her early days, there was like a time when she was more variety. So she decided to make song parodies. And this one of I Got a Feeling is just so 2007 to me. Like so late to, I know I'm pushing the 2010s label, guys, but like this is insane.
Tonight's gonna be a profile pic. Tonight's gonna be a profile pic.
And also just diving into the rabbit hole about her, apparently she was the face and voice of Passion Fruit in The Amazing Orange. And this truly like reached me because I was an annoying orange warrior. I can't believe I used to watch that. Like I looked at the channel just to see what was happening, and unfortunately annoying orange has fallen into the AI slop curse, and it just really seems to be downhill. And speaking of AI slop, ijustine has been criticized for what some see as her increasing corporatization. And just her new videos, some of them, I'm going to be honest here, read more like advertisements for this companies or like PR for these companies. There was even this newer video that I just saw where she interviews the president of digital media at Adobe about its AI efforts. Side note, but I'm about to go into a little bit of a rant about Adobe because why has it become normalized for us to not like be able to buy anything anymore? We're spending money, right? Trust and believe money is coming out of the account, but we are not able to buy anything anymore. Everything has become a subscription. Everything has become a recurring monthly charge because instead of, selling a product and seeing the results of those sales, companies have gotten so scared of, I guess, inconsistent incomes or greedy to the point where literally it seems like almost everything is a subscription now. I remember there was an era when you could literally get a good mobile app for like $5.99 and it would just be one purchase. But now like these apps are even cutting out the lifetime like purchases or making the lifetime purchases of their services ridiculously expensive. I would never, ever pay $250 for the lifetime learning pack of some like language app or something. Like it's gotten to a point where it's so hard to find anything that is not either A, full of ads, or B, actually functional without having to fork out $10 a month. And Adobe is just really a disgusting part of this puzzle because thankfully right now I get Adobe through my university, but like just thinking into the future, do I want to pay $29.99 a month or $23.99 a month or however much a month, which is way over $10 for one service? Or maybe I could just work out $60.99 a month. Oh, and mind you, all of these like numbers I'm listing are yearly purchases. If you want to actually just pay monthly for these products, it's probably going to be even more expensive because they like to do the thing where they charge you yearly some obscene amount of money, like $500. And they will sit here and say that that is a discount because technically it would be a little bit less than their monthly subscription. But for the love of God, who has $263 that they're just willing to fork out? Another big issue I have with this is that there's no bundle for like Photoshop and Premiere, which are like the two apps that I really use on a regular basis. So I'd have to buy each of the products individually and pay that $23.99, which is so insane, which means I'd be paying $40 a month for Adobe products. That is ridiculous. And not only do you have to pay monthly, but Adobe, for some reason, has also been on this AI kick lately, continue to pollute my eyes with badly and hastily generated AI slop. I was looking for like assets and stuff for my videos, for my backgrounds or whatever, like maybe side things to show pictures. And why do I have to actually go in and say, hey, don't use generative AI on your stock images? And again, I get this through my school, thank God. But if I didn't, I'd be paying $22.99 or $23.99 a month for the stock image database. Mind you, half these images seem to be generated by AI. So it's like, what am I even paying for? The youngest flexers of the century. Brian Kwong Le, aka Ricegum, was born in Las Vegas in 1996 and would eventually go on to become a defining figure of the clout culture that dominated YouTube in the mid-2010s. And for me, when I say clout culture, I'm defining it as the obsession of flexing through consistently showing your audience massive displays of wealth, the hyperfixation on followers and internet attention as some sort of currency, and this idea of money at all costs, which often led creators to engage in scammy behaviors in order to obtain said wealth that they deem as so important. And I think this is something that I really wanted to touch on because we really saw the downfall of clout culture and it kind of coming back in a different way. Clout culture has shifted from, cars, houses, mansions. As we have entered this era of continued destitution, we're continuously getting poorer and poorer each year because our money is worth less and less. We're seeing it shift from, that blatant display of wealth. And of course, there are some people who still engage in that, but it's much, much, much less popular than it used to be. You're much more likely to get a negative comment on videos where you're showing your $10 million house or your $5 million car versus a video where you're showing your Erewhon haul or a video where you're showing, your new Aloe set or a video where you're showing the fact that you can take these $500 a session Pilates classes. I feel like we definitely saw a shift from clout culture to more of a consumption-based culture in which we kind of obsess over showing how much we are able to consume, how much we are able to purchase, how much we're able to buy, because now we're all struggling in a different way. But back to Ricegum, sorry. Although Ricegum's first video would be a clip of him playing Call of Duty, he eventually followed the YouTube wave and he would shift into more of like a lifestyle / vlog type of content. He eventually really struck gold in the mid-2010s, getting really popular for his clickbait commentary style videos. And looking through his popular posts, I did see a lot of stuff that was very weird towards women or very like odd. Like, and his fan base, you had to know that they are minors. So why are we doing like, oh my gosh, I'll take a item of clothing off if you kill me in Fortnite, and that's weird. I honestly think Ricegum is very interesting as well because generally like creators who engaged and created the commentary type of content that he was very known for would be the same type of people to make fun of exactly what he was doing and make fun of the clout culture that he openly promoted. And like many others at the time, Ricegum would also make diss tracks. Like It's Every Night Sis was a response to Jake Paul's It's Everyday Bro, and was supposed to be a clapback to Jake's disses. Just really ages up. Ooh, it ages really badly. So just for context, fellow YouTuber Gabby Hanna was at a party that Ricegum was at posting stories, and after she showed herself kind of confronting and talking to him in a Snapchat story, although it's not really shown on the story, it literally looks like she was hit and her phone is like broken, and she alleged that she was attacked by Ricegum. But instead of responding reasonably or, even addressing it in a way that's nice and apologizing, Ricegum decided to release a diss track titled I Didn't Hit Her, calling Gabby Hanna a liar and a thought, which
I thought she was high up, but the thing she doing is really low. This thought made a lie up, so fuck her and her show.
Wow, Ricegum, just really beating these allegations out of the park here. So this is something I forgot to add to my script, but I think it's very important to mention. So you know how I said that there was this inherent want to get money at all costs? Well, there was this alleged crypto scam called Save the Kids, where if you know like pump and dumps, I don't really understand crypto, but basically from my understanding, these people will create a new cryptocurrency, set a value for it, buy a bunch of this cryptocurrency before, you know, they start or have a bunch of cryptocurrency in their own wallets. And then as people buy it, they will sell up their massive stocks of their cryptocurrency, basically making it worthless while they are able to obtain obscene profits because the price went up while a bunch of people are buying it before it tumbled down. And the Save the Kids coin, I think, was a similar circumstance. Like so many other YouTubers who found major fame in the Clout era of YouTube, he would ultimately fade out of content creation eventually. And after being inactive for a number of years, Ricegum would come back in a video titled Baby Girl, in which he details the stillbirth of his daughter, which is just really horrific and really horrifyingly sad. And Ricegum did have a period of activity, you know, a little bit, accepting a deal from the streaming platform Rumble, which is interesting. And he seemed to consistently stream for a minute, but he kind of dropped off, ending his presence on the site like a year ago. The Paul brothers. So I've honestly just combined Jake and Logan Paul into one section for two reasons. One, because I'm tired of writing the script, and two, because their trajectories and their overall current behavior is just very similar to me. So Logan Paul was born first in 1995, followed by Jake in 1997, and while Logan Paul focused more on his Logang and more vlog style content originally, Jake Paul was really more deep into the clout culture side of things, going on to found the Team 10 house. And the Team 10 house was basically this content creator house shared by a number of like seemingly rotating creators, likely because of how awful it seemed to live there. One example of this awful behavior is how the Martinez twins were treated. They literally alleged that they'd been called anti-Mexican slurs, anti-immigrant slurs by Jake Paul, despite them literally being Spaniards from Spain. Like, they were raised in Barcelona, and Jake Paul was literally calling them slurs for Mexican people. Just the layers of racism here is absolutely diabolical. And just a small side note, but I really think it's insane how many famous people came out of Bizarre Bark when you look at it. Like, Jake Paul, Logan Paul was involved, Olivia Rodrigo. Like, was there some sort of blessing put upon this show by Disney or something? And as we're talking about Jake and Logan Paul, we have to talk about the forest incident. So Logan Paul traveled to Japan and decided to go into a forest where people are known to take their own lives. And while they were at this forest, he showed the body of somebody who had recently taken their own life and laughed about it on film and showed it on camera. I don't think I really have to tell you why this is something that's absolutely disgusting. But his audience was literally full of children at the time, so many children had to experience this idea of death that they never had thought about, that they never had the concept of, and literally seeing basically gore spread by their favorite YouTuber. So yeah, this was a major event on YouTube and literally led to Logan Paul's massive apology tour. And I truly feel like his presence on the platform was stunted for quite a while after this. His reputation still, I believe, has taken a massive hit due to this incident. And more on the Pauls here, because I think they're not only 2010's YouTube giants, but they really just turned into conservative assets. Like, Logan Paul went from saying that America was a fundamentally racist country in 2020.
And this is all coming from things I've learned, personal experiences, and finally I feel at a good spot in my life where I can speak up and speak with my chest out, my chin up. America is racist. Listen carefully to what I said. America is racist.
Literally prefacing saying that his daughter might have it hard by saying, hey guys, don't want to be woke when I say this, but I'm afraid my daughter might have it hard.
I don't want to come across like a woke ass, but like, dude, women have it hard.
They shifted from YouTube to wrestling, but I don't know, in between this time, they've also very much made their more conservative ideals very apparent, even attending current President Trump's inauguration. And, you know, Logan being very buddy-buddy with Trump. I don't know. It kind of shows their entrance into this conservative sphere of men that has been increasingly, I think, I won't say relevant, but been increasingly pushed in our faces as we reckon with the fact that a lot of Gen Z men have kind of gone down this pipeline of subscribing to conservative dogma that, like, in 2020 would be outrageous to believe. Like, if you told me in 2020 that we would have President Trump in 2025, I literally would not believe you, because the way that we as a country, in my opinion, took a full 180 in popular culture and everything. I don't know what happened, between those years. I mean, there's a lot of factors, but regardless, they do have this new show called Paul American, and it kind of further goes into this grift, and I just refuse to watch it for even research purposes. So if you want to watch it and subject yourself to that, or if you did watch it, let me know how it is in the comments, because I actually am kind of interested. Maybe I will watch it. Shane Dawson. I feel like I've talked about this man so much, but I'm just going to summarize here. If you want to know more about Shane, like more in depth, I would recommend the last one that I did, which was like how Shane Dawson gaslit the internet, because I think I went more into detail in that one. But just to summarize, Shane Dawson came up in very early YouTube, primarily making his start by making skit content, which really heavily relied upon racist stereotypes and just making a wide array of offensive and really weird characters. And after he kind of shifted into more relatable content and eventually towards documentaries, then in 2020, after his documentaries had gotten massive, he was canceled for, you know, the stuff that he had made in those years past kind of coming back to haunt him. But I bring up Shane Dawson to discuss new controversies. So before we talk about this, I just have to explain that Shane Dawson is extremely wealthy, like living in one of the most expensive places in the country. He literally owns 2 mansions and also has a host of extremely expensive luxury cars like the Cybertruck and the Mercedes G-Wagon. So just for explanation, now his whole thing is, you know, podcasts, and he'll sometimes do a conspiracy video, but his husband, Rylan, has his own podcast called The Sip, which has its own Patreon, and it's $8.99 a month for The Sip's Patreon. But Shane Dawson decided that he wants a piece of the pie of his own, kind of explaining that he wanted to start his own film company. And if you remember what I talked about before about Shane Dawson, but Shane tried to make a movie before, and he literally did so badly and burnt so many bridges that people are not willing to fund him anymore. So he is trying to make his own movies, and he's kind of asking his audience to help him in that venture, and using this type of Patreon or, you know, extra support, there wouldn't really be a problem. But here's what's wrong with it. And this is literally causing people who are still fans of Shane to kind of turn against him and actually be upset about this. So not only did he promote it on his own podcast, but he actually went on his husband's podcast to promote his Patreon. So imagine like you're already paying for a Patreon for this podcast that you watch, and then seeing somebody else come on to this podcast and plug their own Patreon, which is literally like the same price of the Patreon that you're already paying for. So why on earth would you think this is a good idea? And this is what somebody said on Reddit. And this first part is a quote from Shane. "We do nearly an hour and a half of free content every single week. So you're doing your job? We, the viewers, pay your check. If you don't give us anything to watch, you don't get paid. You're not giving us weekly life-changing content. Riley needs to chill out. This seems to be dystopian and out of touch, like that Haley Bailey on TikTok that did the Let Them Eat Cake video." And this is something that I feel like has come up time and time again as it pertains to YouTubers, specifically YouTubers who have their own subscription services or utilize things like Patreon. Like we saw Watcher and that whole drama where they tried to make a new streaming service while people were already paying for their Patreon. Yes, YouTubers technically give you free content or whatever, but is it really free though? You're sitting here watching ads, you're sitting here getting ad revenue, Shane Dawson specifically, and like a lot of larger YouTubers, getting revenue from sponsorships. So it's like, at the end of the day, is it free? And also, your audience are the ones who are literally giving you like this money. So like, to sit here and bemoan the fact that you have to give your audience free content when people actually have to work 9 to 5 jobs, like, please be humble. I don't know. There are some people who find extreme success and are very, very humble and are able to kind of just understand that they're in this position of privilege. And I feel like in this case, Shane and Rylan may have lost that, because you have your G-Wagon, you have your Cybertruck, you have your 2 mansions, giant house, and maybe you just forgot that along the way your audience has actually given this to you. A lot of that wealth came from, you know, the conspiracy palette, where the audience literally gave you direct monetary support. I'm not trying to sit here and say like it can't be difficult at times or whatever, but I am saying that sitting here acting like it's this free service, you know, I'm giving you so much, I'm giving you guys so much for free. Like, okay, why don't you just launch a Patreon and, you know, maybe make one post, or you can even like promote it within your episodes as long as it's not insane. Just be like, hey guys, I have my Patreon if you want to join, da-da-da-da. No issue with that. No issue with people starting Patrons at all. No issue with that. And I think my issue and the main issue of the internet is that this is not, you know, a thoughtful way to go about this, especially when people are literally struggling to survive as it is. So like asking people to pay $16 or asking people to pay, I don't know, just $8 alone for you, like you should be extremely grateful that people want to pay that or are able to pay that, period. So to sit here and complain that your job is basically recording videos and editing them, which again can feel hard, but it's not a 9 to 5. And I've been yapping about that for a while. So let's just move on to who we have last but not least, Lele Pons. And Lele Pons really just seems to be the bane of every commentary channel's existence. Like the sheer amount of videos that I've seen made about her could probably fill up an entire library. Lele Pons was born Eleonora Lele Pons in 1996, and she would start her content creation journey on Vine. And following Vine exploding and basically just combusting, like so many other creators, Lele would take part in the Great Vine migration and start sharing her content to YouTube, and her content was seemingly very similar to what she posted on Vine, albeit in like a slightly longer format. This content really brought her a lot of controversy. People didn't like the content. People thought the humor was very childish, and so many people took issue with how racialized they saw the humor being, as Lele Pons was really pumping out videos with these type of titles like Training to be Latina, Crazy Latina Girlfriends, Miss Latina. And it seems like this is a remnant of Vine in my opinion, because Vine literally had so much racial humor. Looking back, like the amount of black versus white parents I saw, the amount of black people be like, white people be like, compilations, all that stuff, I feel like truly set us back 50 years. And while I personally don't want to comment on whether or not Lele Pons was talking too much or whatever about how Latina she is, from what I watched and what I remember, because I did watch her for like a period of time, the content is just not objectively good. But like, it's not just the content, which is the reason why people don't like her, because some people have legitimate qualms with her, including her former friend Amanda Cerny, who alleged that Lele literally went on her computer and deleted her popular videos. That is so insanely petty and just so weird. Like, why would you do that? Of course, if true, Lele, don't sue me. But Lele really seems to have moved past her old Vine content and is now really focused on music and even marrying singer and rapper Guyana and being pregnant. So she seems like she's doing well. Well, that's pretty much all for me as it pertains to these old YouTubers. Do you want a part 2, y'all? Let me know down below. I don't know. I just really found this interesting, and I always think about like the fact that we found problematic stuff on pretty much all these people. It always makes me wonder, like, if we were influencers, or like, I don't know, if we all were major internet creators, do you think that we would all have our own controversies? That's all from me. I'll see y'all next time. Let me know what y'all want to see next. Bye.